Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our Half Acre Homestead going on a rant, a Canadian rant no less. Now, I'm going to give my American friends and friends in the rest of the world a rundown of what this means. In Canada, there are 10 provinces and 3 territories. One province, the province of New Brunswick, and the 3 territories are officially bilingual, French, English. That means that at any given time or any given place in that province, in those 3 territories, you can either have French or English spoken to you, and all your documents or whatever are in the language of your choice. 3 territories and 1 province. The 1 province of Quebec, the official language is French. And the other 8 provinces, the official language spoken is English. Now, we are a bilingual country in the sense that documentation provided to you could be in your language of choice, be it French or English. All food labels and official corporation signs and all that have to be in French and English. Okay, that's what it means to be bilingual in this country. Okay, to be officially bilingual. However, we don't all fit in those categories. I am an Anglophone. This means I'm an English speaking Canadian living in the province of Quebec, the French province of Quebec. And that has presented a lot of challenges. For instance, when we wanted to enlarge our lot, we had to apply to the government because the land surrounding us is zoned agricultural and cannot be severed. But our lot can be enlarged for reasons that we presented to the government. In other words, my driveway is on my part of my driveway is on my neighbor's land. My two of my fruit trees are on my neighbor's land. Part of my septic's on my neighbor's land because of poor surveying or the lack of previous owners of this property for respecting the boundaries. This was a challenge. It's taken us a year. Why? Because the website that I had to go to apply is totally in French. Yes, there are some English sections of that website, the CPTAQ, but an English-speaking person cannot navigate the site because most of it was in French, and the pertinent information I needed was in French. It took me a day and a half to have somebody figure out a phone number for me to call so that I could get the correct people to talk to about enlarging our lot and how we go about applying for it. And even then, the person I talked to told me that I would have to wait and get a call back to be addressed in my own language, which I was greatly appreciative of. But I had to have a person call me back who could speak English to explain the ins and outs of what we were about to do. One of the major challenges of this was once we had done it all, and it meant many running back and forth to the municipal office where the receptionist is a beautiful bilingual lady who fluently speaks both French and English to help me navigate this website and this government office. When all was said and done, we got a letter in the mail, and it was all in French. So my husband took it to the municipal office, and rather than talking to the receptionist, he gave the letter to somebody else in the municipal office, the person who actually handles all things of building permits and all this sort of thing. He read the letter and said to my husband, "Oh, you've been approved. Everything's a go-ahead." So we spent $1,800 and sent all the information to the surveyor to survey our new lot. When it was all said and done, The surveyor got back to me and said, everything's ready to go. We're just waiting on the final approval. I said, what final approval? He said, well, what that letter said was that everything looks good, and as far as they are concerned, it is approved, but they were waiting on one final document that wouldn't be available until the end of January. What that means is, folks, is I spent $1,853 on a survey only to find out that our land deal was not approved officially yet. And if for any reason that approval is not forthcoming or we are turned down, I lost $1,853. Why? Because a document was sent to me in French. When my husband went to the municipal office to have it translated into English, the guy made a mistake in the translation. A couple of days ago, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau was in a town hall meeting in Sherbrooke, Quebec. And he admits that he was surprised at how many English-speaking people were there. But the fact that when someone asked him a question in English, he answered in French.
Funding for psychiatry and mental health services have been grossly underfunded compared to the other areas of healthcare. Of particular concern in this area are services to minority populations. Most of the public services in this area are available in French only.
Did she just not say to him that the concern to the minorities in the area was that most of the services were available in French only?
It is only in the last 10 years that we have had a group dedicated to trying to help the English population in this area.
And again, in English, she just said it has only been in the last 10 years that there has been a group dedicated to helping the English-speaking population in that area.
Your comments on this subject.
She then addresses him also again in English that she would appreciate his comments on this issue. And what does he do? He answers her in French.
Merci. Thank you. Si vous permettez, je réponds en puisse entendre.
And not only does he add insult to injury, on top of responding in French, he comes right out and says, I'm responding in French so everyone can understand. Hello, Prime Minister. She addressed you in English in a French-speaking province. I'm pretty sure that means she doesn't understand French.
Mais merci de votre utilisation de nos deux langues officielles au pays. Mais on est au Québec, donc je...
Then he goes ahead and tries to defend himself and his actions in that town hall meeting, and he doesn't do a very good job.
It is important for me to demonstrate that I defend bilingualism, and I understand that in a town hall in which we are engaged with a broad range of Canadians who come out to hear from the Prime Minister.
You're not defending bilingualism. You're promoting the disrespect of English-speaking Canadians in Quebec.
In Sherbrooke, in Quebec, the town hall happened in French. I was glad to take questions in English.
If you were glad to take questions in English, Mr. Prime Minister, then why did you answer them in French? That is denying the right of an English-speaking Canadian who probably voted for you the right to be answered in their own language, regardless of the fact of where you are at the time in this country.
Surprised, to be quite frank, that there were as many questions in English at the town hall.
Why would you be surprised? This is Canada. Yes, you were in Quebec at the time, but Quebec is not mutually exclusive to French-speaking people only. There are Anglophones like myself who voted for you living in Quebec, who struggle every single day to be heard understood, and responded to in our own language.
But pleased that so many people from different backgrounds came out. I will always defend official bilingualism. I believe deeply in it.
If, as you say, you will always defend official bilingualism, and that you believe in it deeply, then this was the perfect opportunity for you to show that deep conviction. You were in a French province. You were addressed in English. You should have answered in English. And then you should have turned around and shared the question in French and answered it in French. That is promoting bilingualism.
But I also understand the importance of speaking French, of defending the French language in Quebec.
This case, however, was not about defending the French language in Quebec. Everybody in Quebec who is French speaking knows their rights. This is about the rights of an English speaking Canadian in Quebec, which you did not defend.
And that is something I will continue to do while respecting minority language rights across the country.
But you didn't defend minority rights across the country. I am an Anglophone in Quebec. And if I ask you a question as a citizen of this country in English, I deserve the right to be answered in English regardless of what province or territory I'm asking the question in. And I'm not a minority. English-speaking people in Quebec may be the minority, but we're the majority in the rest of the country.
But pleased that so many people from different backgrounds came out. I will always defend official bilingualism. I believe deeply in it.
That about 12 years ago or 11 years ago, when I got my first job in Quebec, I was put behind a cash register, which means I'm supposed to speak French to the customers if they choose to be spoken to in French. Or I needed a coworker with me that if anybody needed to be spoke to in French or addressed in French, I had somebody there that could do that when I could not. One day, a gentleman came to the counter with a coffee and a cookie. And instead of saying, sais-tu, which means, that's it, I said, will that be everything? And he went, parlez-vous français? Which means, do you not speak French? Or do you speak French? And I responded in French, mon français n'est pas bon, which means my French is not good. And I wanted to continue to say, but I understand more than I speak. But he refused to listen to me. Not only did he refuse to listen to me, the moment I said, mon français n'est pas bon, my French is not good, he went like that and refused to be served by me because I did not speak fluent French. I carefully said, I understand. And I got my coworker who was behind the counter with me at the time and said, could you please serve this gentleman? He does not want to be served by me. And then when she served him in French, that wasn't good enough. He got angry and told her that I should not be allowed to work in the province of Quebec when addressing the public if I could not speak French. Now, she very carefully explained to him that he was being served in French. But that wasn't good enough. He wanted my job. Mr. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, your behavior in the Town Hall Sherbrooke meeting promotes this kind of discriminatory behavior that I was faced with when I was just trying to earn a living. Is that what you really stand for? If so, did we make a mistake in voting you in? Take care, folks. God bless.